Hi Verbling, my name's Michaela. I'm from Phoenix, Arizona, and today we're talking about parts of speech. If you guys have any questions on this class or suggestions for other classes, you can let me know on my Verbling inbox or on my Facebook, and I'll put my Facebook in the chat box for you now. You can also check out my profile to look at my tutor hours. I have lots of open tutor hours in this week and the coming week. So if you're looking for a private instructor, you can check that out and send me a message if you have any specific requests or requirements. So let's get going. I'm going to put the notes for class in the chat boxes for you guys. And we'll begin to talk. Since we're talking about parts of speech today, we're going to be going over lots of different categories of words and how they fit into the structure of a sentence. And I'll screen share my notes for anybody who needs that as well. Here we are. So to start class off, we're going to be brainstorming some words, mostly nouns and verbs. And as soon as we get a couple people in class, we'll be able to start. I'll come up with a few examples to start us off. So the first brainstorming prompt, subjects, is a noun because subjects are nouns. And we're brainstorming subjects that start with P and R. So a subject with P could be Penelope, like a name, or it could be people, or it could be something like pocket. Ones that start with R would be rhino, or rights, or Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Awesome. Daniel, welcome to class.
Hello, teacher. Thank you. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Fine.
Excellent. Okay, Vu, welcome to class. Are you there, Vu?
Hello, teacher.
Hey there, how are you?
Thanks for asking. I'm doing well. How are you?
Yeah, your Monday's going successfully so far?
Oh, yep. Yep. I finished my work and went to my home. I also went to the gym and everything is okay.
Good to hear. Alejandro, welcome back.
Hello,
How are you, Alejandro?
I'm fine.
So you're doing a lot of English today, right? Because I saw you in my last class as well.
Yes, but my connection failed.
Yeah, that happens to all of us sometimes. Really frustrating, though.
Yes.
All right. And Adela, welcome to class.
Hello. Hi.
How's your Monday going, Adela?
I'm I'm packaging to prepare the holidays.
Oh, well, that's nice, right? Always
Yes.
an exciting feeling when you're getting ready for some holiday vacation time.
Yes. Yes. In 2 days I'm going.
Wow, exciting. I hope you have a wonderful time. Tell us
Yes.
all about it when you get back.
Sorry,
All right. I said tell us all about it when you get back.
Yes.
Okay, and Daniel, you said you have a case of the Mondays. What do you mean? Why do you have a case of the Mondays? What are you feeling right now?
I'm tired.
Yeah, not
I'm
ready for
sleepy.
the week again?
The week was hard
I see.
because I don't sleep very much because I went out in the night with my old friends in my hometown.
So you were
and
partying too
and my
much.
children, yes, and my children used to get up early in the morning.
I see. So you were partying at night, and in the morning your kids were disturbing your sleep.
Yes, yes.
All right. I was just reading an article about how important it is to get 8 hours of sleep a night. So make sure to get a little more sleep this week.
Yes,
And
I'll
Antonio,
try
welcome
this
to
week.
class.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly.
Oh,
How
all
are
right.
you?
Fine, thanks.
Awesome. Your Monday is going a little better than Daniel's?
Pardon?
Is your Monday going better than Daniel's? Are you having a good Monday or like a so-so sleepy Monday?
No, so.
All right. So we're talking about parts of speech today, and that will mean a review for most of these things, but it's good to review these very important topics in grammar. So I put the notes in the chat box for you guys, and I'll put it once more in the Google chat box. And let's get started. We're going to start by brainstorming some words. So we're going to talk about objects and subjects because objects and subjects are both made by the same part of speech. They're made by nouns, but sometimes they change a little bit. So let's name some subjects that start with P and R. Adela, can you name a few for us? Any subject that might start with P or R? Adela, are you there?
Yes, Paul can be a subject, no? He's a person.
What did you say, Paul?
Paul, no? A person and a name.
Yeah, of course, names, definitely.
And
For sure.
Ruth, no?
Paul and Ruth, great, very biblical names. Awesome. Alejandro, can you name a couple subjects with P and R for us?
Sorry, teacher, I don't understand.
So just name a couple subjects that start with P or R. You can be creative. Anything is okay as long as it is a noun starting with P or R. Do you remember what a noun is?
No.
All right. Well, then that's the first question we have to answer. Daniel, what's the definition of a noun? Do you know it?
In Spanish, yes. A noun, it's a part of phrase who said who is talking or doing something.
Okay, so the simple definition for a noun is a person, place, or thing. A noun can be any of those, a person, a place, or a thing. And it can even be more than that sometimes. It can be abstract, like love. Love can be considered a noun sometimes, but it's also a verb in other contexts. But the simple definition for a noun is a person, place, or thing. And Adela started us off with Paul and Ruth, which are great nouns because they're people. What are some other nouns? And this time we'll go with objects. It changes a little bit. Some objects that start with C or T. Alejandro, can you think of any people, places, or things that start with C or T?
City?
Yeah, city. Excellent. Daniel, any other ideas for us?
Circus.
Uh-huh. Circus.
Tree.
Okay. Awesome. So, we have some great nouns, but let's talk a little more about the way that they change sometimes. Like the word I, for example. I can be a subject. Can I be a noun in the object form?
No, teacher.
No. What is it? How does I change?
You have to change to a pronoun.
Uh-huh. Which pronoun?
Me.
Exactly. So all of those change. I to me. But the only one that doesn't change is you. You stays the same. All right. So, passing nouns, let's talk a little more about verbs and get some examples with W and G. Adela, can you give us any verb examples starting with W or G?
Win and go.
Excellent. Alejandro, give us some verbs that start with W and G.
Gave?
Excellent.
And no, with W, no.
That's okay. It's hard to think of these things on the spot. It takes a couple minutes. Daniel, can you think of any other verbs that start with W or G?
Yes. Wait and give. To give.
Excellent. Okay. And Anna, welcome to class.
Hello, Daniel. This is Roman.
What now? Anna, are you there?
Yeah. Do you hear me?
Yeah. Okay. I hear you. So can you give us any examples of verbs that start with W or G?
I don't know. Maybe walk. Go.
Awesome. Go is a good one. Vu, can you think of any others?
Win and win and give.
Sure. Awesome. Okay. So now that we've talked about verbs, subjects, and objects, let's talk about transitive and intransitive. Can anyone describe what a transitive verb is? All right, let's see. Oh, go ahead, Adela. Do you have an example for us? Tell us what transitive and intransitive are.
I think is necessary an object or no. For example, tell me or tell you, and it's different to say. Is not necessary an object.
Awesome.
This is transitive and intransitive verb. Is possible?
Yes, exactly. You've got it just right. So a transitive verb is one that usually takes an object, and intransitive is one that does not. And we have a broad variety of these verbs. So like Adela mentioned, the verb tell needs an object. You can't say tell to her. You don't need that preposition there, and it's incorrect. So we need to say tell her instead of saying tell to her, which is a mistake a lot of students make. And on the other side, we have the verb say, where we don't need an object, but we can have an object if we want to put it there. So I said something to her would be a way to use an object with the verb say. And all verbs will fit somewhere on this spectrum. There are also verbs that can't take an object. Can you guys think of any verbs that don't take an object ever? Test. No ideas? Something like hang out, which is a phrasal verb, but that doesn't take an object. So I could say, I hang out at the restaurant. But we can't say I hang out restaurant or I hang out the mall. We need to put a preposition because you cannot put an object directly in front of that verb. All right. So let's go on in our document and talk a little bit about some simple sentences. Do you guys have questions so far? Any questions?
Verb work.
Yeah, what's your question, Anna? What's that?
The verb work. Is it transitive or not?
The verb go?
Work.
Walk. Oh, that is a really interesting one. Walk like W-A-L-K, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Let's talk about this. Daniel, what do you think? Do you think it's transitive or intransitive?
Intransitive.
Okay, so make a sentence showing us that it is intransitive.
I walk along the sea.
Okay, so in that case, it does not have an object that's directly attached. It has the preposition along before. And that's a good example, but there is also an example of a way when it could take an object. Adela, can you think of any way it could take an object?
Sorry. When with an object?
Yes.
No.
Can you think of any examples of when it does take an object?
Take a photo. I take the verb take is possible? No.
Okay, you can give us an example with the verb take, but the verb walk. Does the verb walk ever have an object?
I don't understand. I walk on the mountain.
Okay, so in that case, we have a prepositional phrase following the verb. Does anybody else want to give an example of a sentence using the verb walk that maybe has an object directly following the verb? Okay.
I walk fastly. Sorry, I walk, but it's not direct. Sorry.
That's true, but what is fastly or quickly would probably be better in this case. What is the verb quickly? What part of speech is that?
This is an adverb.
Which is definitely something that is important, and we will also get to in a little while. Fausto, welcome to class.
Thank you, teacher. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay.
Do you have the notes open and everything?
Yeah. You know.
Awesome.
I have a very old laptop, and so it's quite slow.
Okay. Well, let us know if you're having any trouble following.
No, no.
Okay. So I can think of 2 examples of when the verb walk would take an object. And this verb walk can be intransitive or transitive. So there are some verbs that, depending on how you're using it, will be transitive sometimes and intransitive other times. And then there are some verbs that absolutely need an object, and then there are some verbs that do not take an object. So we talked about how tell does need an object and how hang out never takes an object. And now we're talking about some verbs that can function both ways. So walk usually does not take an object. So you'd say, I walk to the store, or I walk up the hill. Those are examples of a no object sentence with walk. The first sentence that I can think of where you do use an object is when you say, I walk the dog. If you say, I walk the dog, it means you have the dog probably on a leash, and you go out walking with him. But we don't necessarily need to put a preposition like with there. You can say, I walk the dog, it would be an object. The other way we could use it would be something like, I walked the marathon. I walked the marathon. So the marathon is a distance. It's a particular distance. You could also put something else there like path or that's all I can think of for right now. I walked the marathon or I walked the path. So that would be the distance that you're walking. All right, any questions before we go on?
No.
No? Okay, awesome. Then I will put my screen share back up and we will get back into the notes. All right. So below we have some very simple sentences. We've got 5 sentence structures here, and I'm going to give you each one of these. They should be pretty easy. The first one is a subject plus a verb. But you have to be careful because if I give you number 1, you have to make sure to choose a verb that does not need an object. So like we were just talking, don't choose a verb that needs an object because this sentence structure does not allow you to put one in. Number 2, you have to choose a verb that can take an object. So not hang out. Number 3, we've got 2 subjects, a verb, and an object. Number 4, subject, verb, verb. And number 5, subject, verb, object, object. Any questions on these sentence structures?
No.
All right. And I will make a quick
Yes,
note.
teacher.
Yeah, what's your question?
The number 3.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. Subject plus subject.
Yes. So there's one word that number 3 and number 4, they don't explicitly say, but it requires, and that would be a conjunction. Is everyone familiar with conjunctions?
Yes.
All right, let's see. Fausto, can you give us some examples of conjunctions?
And is a conjunction. And. We.
And, yeah.
And.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Excellent. So and will be perfect for this particular case. Number 3 and number 4, we need to use the conjunction and to attach 2 subjects and 2 verbs. So blank and blank. And then you can go into the verb and the object. And for number 4, it will be subject, verb, and other verb.
Okay.
Awesome. That was a really good question. Okay, so number 1, let's have Vu do number 1, Fausto number 2, Daniel number 3, Anna number 4, and Alejandro and Adela, will you do number 5?
Okay.
When you guys are ready with your simple sentence structures, you can put them in the chat box and we'll read them and go over them together.
I can hear you, teacher.
Sorry. I'm like, oh, I'll mute myself so there's no background noise. And then I forget and I don't unmute myself. Okay. So number 1, it's raining. Let's have Vu explain your sentence to us. Break it down. Tell us what is the subject, what is the verb, and any other information you can think of.
Subject is it. The main verb is rain. I don't know is.
So in this case, we need an extra verb because we've conjugated in the progressive or the continuous. Well done. So your main verb is rain, and then you have a helping verb to be.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Vu. Daniel, can you read us yours and explain it to us?
My family and me said hello to him. First subject, my family. Second subject, me. Verb, said. And object, to him.
Awesome. Okay. So, this is a very interesting sentence. And we have to change one thing about it. It's something we talked a little bit about in the beginning of class, but we can't use me as a subject. Me is only an object. What is the subject version of me?
I.
Exactly. And that's a mistake that native speakers also make very frequently. So it's not something that's like, it doesn't sound crazy, it sounds okay, because native speakers frequently make the same mistake. And they'll say, my family and me said hello. It's not technically correct, but it's, it's common. Okay. Thank you very much, Daniel. Alejandro, can you read us yours?
Michaela, teach us the speech.
Yes. Okay. So explain to us what that sentence has in it.
Yes, you it's clear the sentence, no?
Yes, yes, it's a good sentence. It starts with the subject, right? Which is?
With subject is Michaela.
Yes, and the verb?
The verb is teach,
Uh-huh.
and
What about
the two objects is us and the speech.
excellent? Thank you. And I just have one small correction, and that is because it is a third person singular. That would be teaches. Michaela
Oh,
teaches us the speech. Small
yes.
little thing. No problem. Okay, so in that sentence we have an object, a direct object, and an indirect object. And we might talk a little bit more about that in a bit because it gets more and more complex. But let's finish reading these sentences. Adela, can you read us your sentence?
Can be changed because it's very similar to the. Yes, Michaela teaches Daniel, Alejandro, another student. This is right, but it's possible. I went to Paris and London.
Excellent.
No?
I
For
went
example?
to Paris and London. Sure, that works. We've got two objects, a subject and a verb. Great. And then, Fausto, can you read your sentence for us also?
Oh, yes, teacher. Michaela eats porridge. I don't know if you like porridge.
I do. It's pretty good stuff. So, Michaela eats porridge. And describe to us what are the parts?
Yeah. Subject Michaela, Michael, Michaela. The verb eats, third person with S, and porridge, object.
Awesome. Okay. And Anna, what about your sentence?
I make pretty easy sentences, so something like I'm gonna work or I need to sleep.
Okay, so I need to sleep. Explain that sentence to us.
It has one subject, I, and two verbs, need and sleep.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. One subject, two verbs. Great. Okay. And one more question for you guys before we move on. What about the verb explain? Does explain take an object or does it not? And give me an example.
I think yes, because you explain.
So, sorry, Adela, can you repeat?
No,
what did you say?
Sorry. I think yes, because we explain something or as somebody, no? I think neither option.
All right, so give us an example sentence for that.
I explain a subject.
Excellent. So explain takes a direct object after it. But a mistake that students sometimes make is to put an indirect object first, which is not possible. And I thought about this as I was saying it because I've frequently heard students say, "Will you explain us the issue?" So what's wrong with that sentence? Daniel, what's wrong with the sentence, "Will you explain us the issue"? Will you explain us? Daniel, are you there?
I I mute my mic.
Ah.
Can you repeat the question, please?
So the
Could you
question
repeat the question, please?
is the verb explain. And as Adela was saying, it
Yes.
does take an object, but there's two kinds of objects. There's direct object and an indirect object. And so I gave you a sentence, and it has the verb explain plus an object. The sentence is, will you explain us? So can you
Could
see
you
if there's
explain something to us?
Yes, yes. So we have to use the direct object before the indirect object. So we can't say explain us, we have to say explain the issue to us.
To us.
Yeah. Okay. Any questions before we move on? Excellent. So, other things that we have not yet talked much about are adjectives, which are pretty straightforward, and adverbs, which we mentioned quickly, but we didn't talk very much about. But they're very similar categories of words. What is the difference between an adjective and an adverb? How about Alejandro? Can you tell us the difference between them?
No, teacher.
All right, Anna, give it a try. The difference between an adjective and an adverb.
As I remember, adjectives usually describe noun, and adverb usually describe a verb.
Exactly. So, it makes it pretty simple. Adjectives are actually a lot simpler than adverbs, but they're basically the same thing. And most of the time, they're the same word even. So if you have something like sad, which is an adjective, just add an ly, it becomes an adverb. Sad, sadly. Very simple. Adverbs are actually a lot more tricky because they change on part of the sentence. So sometimes the adverb comes at the beginning of the sentence, sometimes at the end, sometimes in the middle. And adjectives are really simple because they always come directly next to the noun that they modify. One more thing we haven't talked about yet is prepositions. And we talked a lot about prepositions in the last class. Alejandro, what prepositions did we talk about last class?
Over, by, and with.
Over, by, and with. So that's a good start. What are some other prepositions? Let's list more prepositions. Vu, can you give us a few others?
Some example is some example are on, in, at, under, above.
Wow, you got a lot. Okay, thank you very much. Fausto, can you think of any more prepositions?
Maybe between. Or. But I think that someone else has spoken about this.
All right. So thank you for adding one to our list. I know that once we've named all the most common ones, it's kind of hard to think of more. But between is a great one. Daniel, can you add any more to our list? We've already talked about over, by, with, on, in, at, under, above, through, and between. Can you think of any others?
Along,
yeah.
across,
okay.
in front of.
Sure.
Next
and
to.
There you actually have a few, right? Next to. Awesome. Anna, give us a few more prepositions if you can think of any.
No.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, the between among
Among, yeah, that's an awesome one.
two.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Interesting. Instead of, is it preposition or not? Instead of.
Instead of is a preposition, but instead of would be something like an adverb phrase. It's a little more complex because it uses two words, but it kind of just takes one meaning. But of is a good preposition. All right. Alejandro, can you name any others for us?
No, teacher.
All right. How about Adela? Any other prepositions you can think of?
Beside and behind is are
Yes.
preposition.
Beside, behind. Awesome. Okay, so we could go on for days with these prepositions. There are a lot of prepositions in English, more than 100. I don't know how many, but there's a lot. I'm going to put that list in the chat box for you guys. And let's talk about where we usually put prepositions. So prepositions can come almost anywhere. They can come in the subject. They can come after. They can come anywhere, basically. But when we're talking about prepositional phrases, there's usually one location that's the most common for them. Where do we usually put prepositional phrases? Something like in the afternoon, or on the floor, or after the event, in the cabinet, in the
6
fridge.
feet under.
Huh?
6 feet. 6 feet under.
6 fits under.
Yes.
Huh?
It's a TV series, an old TV series called 6 feet
6
under.
feet under. Oh, that's funny.
6 under.
Very funny. Yeah, 6 feet under. So that's like an idiom too. Do you know what the idiom means?
Yes.
What does it mean?
The hole where you buried a coffin. No?
Exactly. So in that case, it's kind of an unusual preposition because we could say something like, I'll be 6 feet under by tomorrow. If you're saying like, oh my gosh, this is so difficult, I'm going to die. You're being really dramatic. You can say, I'll be 6 feet under by tomorrow. There's no way. I won't survive. Right? So it wouldn't be really serious in that case. But it works a little differently because most of the time a preposition attaches a phrase. But in this case, the preposition comes at the end because it's taken from a phrase that used to be used commonly, like 6 feet under the ground, which they don't put in there, but is like people know that what you mean when they say 6 feet under, and they know you don't mean like 6 feet under candy and puppies. No. 6 feet under the ground. Awesome. So usually prepositional phrases will come at the end of a sentence. Not always. You can totally choose to reverse things, like we had the barbecue in the afternoon, or in the afternoon we had the barbecue. So most of the time both of those are options. But it most commonly comes at the end of a sentence, and you can pile these prepositional phrases on. You can say, we had the barbecue on Friday in the afternoon after the celebration under the tent in our city. And you can just make this sentence basically as long as you want, tacking on prepositional phrase after prepositional phrase after prepositional phrase. Kind of infinitely. Okay, do you guys have any questions so far about anything we've talked about? Excellent. Excellent. Then let's go on to the next page, and I will put my screen share back up. It's a sentence scramble. So I've picked some idioms or maybe like little proverbs, and they're mostly simple, but we're going to put them in the right order because they're very short ones, but we're going to put them in the right order. So number 1, this is pretty easy. Adela, will you read number 1 for us in the correct order?
Makes perfect. Makes perfect and practice.
Right.
He the practice makes perfect. Perfect.
Excellent. Yeah. Practice makes perfect. And that is an expression meaning what? Adela, do you know the meaning of that phrase?
People practice a lot. This is a master in your job. Is a perfect worker.
Yes, definitely. All right. Number 2, Alejandro, will you do that one for us?
Yes. Love is blind.
Uh-huh. And what does that mean?
That no, I don't know how to explain.
You
It's
can
a
do
tough one to
whatever
explain. Yeah, it's tough to
for
explain.
someone.
Does anyone else want to try explaining that for us? Love is blind. What does it mean? Love is blind.
Maybe it's when you don't understand why you love someone, no?
Mm-hmm. That's a way we could use it. So, like, we can say also, love doesn't always make sense. Maybe you fall in love with someone who really isn't well suited, opposites attract. So someone who's the total opposite of you sometimes is the person you fall in love with, even if that doesn't make much sense. All right.
Yes.
Number 3, Anna, go ahead and do this one for us.
Okay. Curiosity killed the cat, or the curiosity killed cat.
So which one is it?
I'm not sure where should I put the. Curiosity killed cat, but I don't know about the. What is the curiosity or the cat? Because
Yeah,
we
say
cannot
the
kill
cat.
particular cat.
So in this phrase, curiosity killed the cat, we're talking about curiosity as like a very general topic of something, so we don't use the article the. And
But why we use the with cat?
that's a very good question. And this phrase comes from an old fable that a cat was, too curious and then died. So the reason that we say the cat is because this particular phrase came from a specific cat. Now, we don't use it anymore to refer to that cat. Now we just kind of use it as advice, and no one really knows which cat we're talking about. But because it came from that place where we were talking about a specific cat, we use the article the.
Okay, I understand.
Awesome. And what does it mean? Curiosity killed the cat.
Because curiosity sometimes can be very dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely. Okay. Number 4, Daniel, go ahead. Daniel, are you there?
Yes. I'm thinking.
Oh yeah, take your time.
Bad news travels fast.
Yes, and what does that mean?
People like hear bad news about others. And
Definitely.
rumors, if it's bad, better.
Totally.
Kind of a gossip.
Exactly. Gossip. People love to gossip, for sure. Okay, number 5, Fausto. Read that one for us. And this one does not have the parts of speech, so it might be a little more difficult for you.
Yeah. I think the early bird gets the worm.
Yes, the early bird gets the worm. And what does that mean, Fausto?
Maybe that you have to be put attention in everything you do, and very you have to be a very attentive person. I don't know if attentive is the exact term, but you have to prepare in advance or like similar. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. Prepare in advance. Awesome. Okay. And number 6. Vu, can you read number 6 for us in the correct order?
Yep. There is no place like home.
And what's the meaning of that phrase?
Home is the best. The best place is the
To stay.
is very safe to everyone.
Yeah. Excellent. Okay. Any favorites? Vu, which was your favorite of these expressions, or which do you think is the most true?
The last one.
Excellent. So you got to read the one that you like the best.
Yes.
Very nice. Fausto, which was your favorite of these phrases? Which do you think is the most true?
I can see only the last two. Okay. Maybe the fourth. Bad news travels fast. It's very true.
All right. Do you have any experience with that? People gossip a lot?
Oh,
Do you like to gossip?
maybe, yeah. No, I don't like it.
Oh, of course not. That's bad. All right. Daniel, which was your... Oh, go ahead. Sorry. Sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I
You
live
live in
in
a
very
small town?
town, and so you are quite right when you say that bad news travels fast.
Yeah, totally impossible to avoid news traveling fast in a small community.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, Daniel, which was your favorite of these phrases, or the most true one?
Love is blind.
Love is blind. Oh,
Blind.
a romantic.
Yes. It's true. I don't know why, but it's true.
Is it true for you? Like,
Yes. If
so
you
your life seemed not to make sense, but you guys fell in love anyways.
if you fall in love, you usually do crazy things.
Totally. Definitely true. All right, Anna, which was your favorite of these phrases?
I most like about birth or the early bird gets.
Awesome. So you prefer to be prepared and on time and very attentive to your work, right?
Not only for work, for everywhere. When you do something in advance, you usually can manage a lot of things and you are ready for different situations.
All right. It's a good way to live.
Yeah.
Alejandro, which is your favorite of these phrases?
The last.
The last one? There's no place like home?
There is no place like home. Yes.
So your home is a very special place to you?
Yes. Where I can rest and where I can do anything.
Mm-hmm. All right. And Adela, which is your favorite phrase? Adela, are you there?
Yes, I changed the sentence of Fausto. I like no news, good news.
Oh, no news is good news.
Yes, it's in positive, no?
Yeah, totally. That's a good one. So tell us what that means.
This is when no fast, slowly, no arrive slowly the good news, because the other is the bad news travel fast, and when no you are no news is a good news.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you so much for being here today. And I have to run because I have a tutoring session coming up. But I hope to see you all again soon. And tomorrow I have 6 classes. So I hope to see you guys then. Talk to you
Thank
later.
you. Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you, teacher. Bye bye.